Welcome, everyone, to Boom Mike Banter. This is episode 16. I am Nick. With me today is a guest that I am so fucking elated to have on. A friend that I've known for a very long time. We went from coworkers to fucking goddamn BFFs. I love her very much and care for her deeply. And her name is Emily motherfucking Redmond. Emily, how the hell are you doing?
I'm alive.
You throw me that every fucking time.
Would you expect anything
less? I feel like that is your natural reaction.
Well, yeah.
So let me ask you this, though. Is that a natural reaction of men asking you? Or is that just anyone who's actually trying to get with you on an emotional level?
Pretty sure even if my mom asks me how I'm doing, I'm just going to say alive.
That's fair. Well, see, a mom, though, that's a totally different dynamic.
No.
So anyone who's trying to get you on an emotional level, there's the first wall.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay.
There's just a field after that.
Yeah, that's fair. There's an entire fucking weed work to fucking work through, but yeah. That's a story neither here nor there. So Emily, I've had you on for multiple reasons. First of all, I'm just super excited that we got to actually shoot the shit. For people listening now, we've been drinking and fucking shooting the shit for like an hour previous, like I've been doing with all my guests, which is a problem of mine. But neither here nor there. But we went to fucking Otakon.
We did.
And I was an Otakon virgin. I went there my first time, got broken in.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it was pretty solid for a con. So my thing is too, I've also been to a very diverse amount of cons, but Otakon is like your main fucking squeeze, I would say.
Yeah, I've been going since I think 2013. So
yeah, like a long fucking time. Well, and that was the thing too, because I knew you were so serious about it for so long that like that's always been like your ticket. Mm-hmm. Like that's always the one like you've been trying to like egg on like either people to go or get like groups organized to go. Where did that like when, or you said like 2013, like obviously, so when, but like how did that start? Like how did that one end up becoming like your like main thing?
So it kind of started.
Oh Jesus Christ! Coaster fell. We're fine.
So it started with I wasn't even supposed to go to my first year of Otakon.
Really?
It was like a week or two before.
Okay.
And mind you, my one friend had been talking about this con and the cosplays he was doing and all this stuff, like talking it up, like we're gonna go, blah, 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 it's gonna be great, and like side little friend like, oh, that's cool, like I wish I could go, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then like all of a sudden, like a week before, someone was like, yo, do you want to go? Like we have 3 hotel rooms, like let's go.
Hitting you up. Yeah.
I was like, sure, here's money, let's do this. And it was probably the worst year at Otakon.
Really?
Yeah.
Just was it with like people you didn't know, or what was the worst part about it?
So going down, I only knew 3 people, and there were about 15 people to each hotel room, and there were 3 hotel rooms.
Oh well, by the way, too, just to preface this, so when you and me we went to Washington. Was this the one that was still in Boston?
Baltimore.
Oh, Baltimore. Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, it was still in Baltimore.
Jesus
and
Christ.
The hotel we were in was pretty shady.
Was it at least near the con?
Oh, like 4, 5, maybe 6 blocks.
Okay, so just enough where it could be sketchy as fuck. It's just enough blocks.
It was it could be inner city, not harbor.
Got it. Yeah.
So like you went into the city 5 or 6 blocks, whereas like every other hotel we've stayed at since then has been like somewhere along the harbor.
Mm-hmm. And or like right next to it, because we were fucking right pretty much like,
in DC, yeah. In DC it's a lot easier. Baltimore, there's the hotels that are right there get sold out like the first day they announce it. So it was it's a whole different ballgame basically.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so it was pretty interesting going and knowing 3 people and there being 30 plus there.
Jesus Christ, that must be a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Because I was getting, like, at least, like, I mean, one of the biggest reasons why, like, I went this time was, like, I was super amped. Like, I knew everybody. Yeah. That's what at least I was super happy of. Like, I knew everybody. I knew what the hell was going on. Everything was cool. We got, like, one room for fucking, 10 people? 10 people by the end of it. So, yeah, like, that was fucking great. But, yeah, like, I can't... Oh, man. That must be nuts.
I slept in a bathtub the first night.
Ooh, that's classy.
With another human.
2 people in a bathtub?
Yeah, it was bad.
One person didn't sleep on a bathroom floor?
No.
That's rude.
No, we both slept in the bathtub.
Okay.
It was interesting time.
Yeah, I could. Jesus Christ, I could imagine. So what was? This is one thing I've actually been thinking about for a while. So the years I've known you, like that we've actually shot the shit and been friends, you've always been at least like pretty poignant about cosplays. Like you've always been like into it. You've always been like going. When did that start, like your first year at Otakon, or did that start once you started going there, or what was up?
The first year I didn't, because obviously I found out 2 weeks in advance, and I didn't even really know what cosplay was. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of my entry level into it. Mm-hmm. The next year I did my first cosplay, which I did Charmander.
Oh, shit.
And it was super fun. I just basically wore a bunch of orange clothes, and my friend made me a Charmander tail.
That's dope. That's cool.
It was awesome.
That's great.
And then after that, I did Android 18, which is, like, the first one that I kind of felt like I came into my own character. Mm-hmm. And then...
You really, like, embraced fully.
Yeah, and it wasn't...
It didn't feel like a costume, per se.
Yeah, and, like, that's the one thing about cosplay is like... Originally, to me, it was, like, me dressing up, like, kind of like Halloween. We dress up, we act a part.
Well, I was just gonna say, that's the biggest difference, and, like, I think some people fuck that up, is, like, when some people just hear the term, like, cosplay, they think, oh, it's just, like, a costume, but it's like, no, there is, like, role-playing aspects into it, ergo the term. But, like, really, people get into the character, and... Like, they really... Usually, it's either one based off, like, a really big, like, meaning for that person, or the other side of it, which is, like, just a character that they resonate with. And even if it's not a person that they naturally would be, like, inclined to be in, it's great because they can then personify someone else.
Exactly.
That could be a good form of, like, escapism and stuff.
And even still, like, I mean, like you said, I've been doing this for years now, and like, Android 18 I felt comfortable in, but it wasn't even until, like, probably the past 2 years when I did, like, Soul Maka and even my Danny Phantom this year. Like, this is the first time I'm like, this is me, this is that character, and I feel comfortable. I still always felt awkward up until now.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, like, that's still nuts, though, too. Like, and you've been doing it for, what, 4 or 5 years?
Give or take.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
I don't know how math works.
That's fucking gnarly. That's crazy. Yeah, I've always been, like, that's honestly, like, one of the reasons why I haven't dabbled into it, at least yet, is because I know some people look at it as, like, bullshit. My thing is, I take it very seriously, which is exactly why I haven't jumped into it. Because that's my whole thing. I've, like, had that, like, psyche of, like, once I figure out exactly what I want to go for, then I want to jump in. But I haven't found, like, I've had a couple ideas dance around, but I've never had, like, the fucking... I haven't had, like, that snap fucking moment of, like, oh my god, this is exactly what I... go for.
My best advice is just do it.
Just do it the first time.
Just your first, like, I mean, like I just said, how many have I done since then? Like, I have an insane amount of different ones, and I still have all my costumes because I'm insane.
Yeah. But that makes sense. I know a lot of people sell them.
A lot of people sell them.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Like, a lot of, like, high-end ones, like, will sell them.
Oh, totally.
Mine are not high-end at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, my best advice is just do it, because you're not going to get comfortable until you continuously do it.
Until you just break into it. That makes sense. Kind of jump in the pool and fucking learn how to swim.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you wear a cardboard Iron Man suit, like you wear a cardboard anime.
Yeah, you just got to sport it.
Suit.
I feel what you're saying.
Words are hard.
No, I totally get that. The one I was debating on doing, two long term that I was thinking about. One, when I was in a relationship, and obviously that one's decimated now, is I was going to do a Watchmen cosplay.
Okay.
So I was going to do Miss Jupiter and the Night Owl.
Okay.
And I was like, that'd be dope as fuck.
Yeah.
But obviously that one got murdered now.
You can still...
I know. I still could do it now. I know.
You could go with Brian and he'll do his Rorschach.
I know, that's true. That's true. So, because even Brian... I told that to Brian, and Brian even told me the same thing. He was like, yeah, that would totally fucking work. I was like, shit, that would work. We'd be doing, like, the fucking End This Nigh shit. But the other one that I was thinking about doing, just because I feel like, one, it hits me on a level where I could dress, like, still appropriately, but then still actually feel comfortable. But I'd like to do, like, an actual, like, team of fucking people that would do it, too. But yet again, this may be an asshole and trying to get, like, multiple people in on it. I'd love to do fucking Booker DeWitt. Booker DeWitt would be so dope.
I know.
Dapper as fuck. I just get to fucking hold a skyhook, and I'm like, perfect.
I have the skyhook if you don't.
I don't. So,
I do.
yeah, I would need to borrow it.
Yeah.
But...
And I would love to do, like, Elizabeth. Like, I think that would be so cool.
Don't get me started. This is shit we might have to plan later.
Yeah.
Because that would be, like, that would be my big one. I've been debating on that one for a while. Because that's, like... Because my thing is, like, I wanted to pick something that, like, hits me on, like, an inspirational level and stuff. And Bioshock Infinite will, like... For me, I know a lot of people go back and forth on Infinite because it was very decisive for some people. For me, it's, like, in my top 5 permanently forever. That game will fucking stand out.
The entire Bioshock series minus 2 is definitely high up there.
We always keep squabbling on that. 2 is good.
The story. See, the problem is the story is not there. The mechanics are better, but the story is not as good.
Okay, yes. Okay, hold on. The story is not as good as the masterpiece that is known as Bioshock 1. There. Of course, but at the same time, you still have, like... Right. You still have one of the dopest mother-daughter relationships. Like, a dad essentially trying to get to his mom, and literally puts you in the perspective of, like, an way old-school Big Daddy. That's pretty important.
See, but you have the mind twist in the first one of Would You Kindly.
I know.
Like,
you can't beat it. Absolutely. You can't touch it.
You get the end, like, spoilers, sorry, the game's been out for years. But then in Infinite, you find out about the lighthouse and everything's tied together, and that, like, the Brooker and, like, the whole ending. Like, the whole ending is just a mental mindfuck.
It's so good.
There's amazing. None of that.
I know. Well, 2, I will say this, though. 2 had... 2, you know what I think the difference was? I think they took a shot with 2, and I think they more focused on making one specific character, and instead of focusing on a story of that character, they focused on the story of the connection of a character. Which doesn't hit for some people. For some people it resonates, and on top of it, their DLC that they have, Minerva's Den is still one of the best DLCs ever put out, ever. See? Exactly. You roll your eyes, do your shit. I'm just saying, it's one of the best DLCs that's ever put out. You want to talk about... Okay, how about this? You know the story that you didn't necessarily feel with Bioshock 2?
Yeah.
Minerva's Den has it, because it's a new character, they introduce you to a new setup of fucking Rapture, and they fucking lock you in. And it's even shorter. So you don't even have to play for 85 fucking hours. Be like, oh, whatever, Bioshock 2, blah. You can play for like fucking 10 hours, be like, oh my god, this fucking story's dope. Bam, Minerva's Den. At some point, play it. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
I'll add it to my long list of backlog
86
games.
Fucking thing. Don't even get me started on the fucking games. We're gonna be fucked come September, October. September, October, we are fucked. Don't, like, I know, like... Well, first of all, I know you just have Destiny. Destiny takes up, like, 8 years.
Destiny got pushed back till October 1st. And I'm so excited because now I can play, like, Borderlands for more than 3 days.
Yep, exactly. This is so funny. We haven't actually shot the shit about this. My roommate is a religious Destiny player. That's, like, primarily, like, the main thing he plays.
I just found a new best friend.
I know, exactly. He primarily plays Destiny, so it's so funny because he told me the same. So what he did was he initially took off because it was originally supposed to come out the same week as Borderlands 3. So he took off that week. He took a vacation just for that, just for Destiny.
Oh, I would have. I did the same thing earlier this year.
So literally, his whole thing now though is he was like, well, he's like, Destiny got pushed back, but he's like, oh, thank God, because now I have a week off to play and or beat Borderlands 3. So now I can just no-life Destiny come fucking October. And I was like, yep, exactly. And same thing, like, I mean, you on top of, like, a bunch of other people, but especially my roommate, too. He's like, are you going to get back in? I was like, yeah, I have to get back in.
And on PS4, right? Because now Cross-Save's coming out October 21st.
Well, exactly. Well, now that's the whole thing. It won't even be, like, a question of PS4.
21st.
Yeah.
Did I say October?
It's okay. I know what you meant. Okay. What's it called? Well, now all I have to do is just download it on PS4. Because, number one, it's fucking free.
I don't think it's free yet because New Light's not out yet.
I know. Well, but I'm saying by the time that's what I'm saying. Yeah. By the time that comes out, all I have to do is buy just the expansion because the game itself plus all the DLC will be free. So all I have to do is just download and that'll be fun. Now I'll just have it on both systems. I'll alternate, fucking do whatever I want. Even my roommate who was talking about who's been exclusively Xbox One, he was talking about dipping on PC just because of the higher end quality and shit, which makes sense. But at the same time, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna primarily play with my friends that are on Xbox, and I was like, yeah, that completely makes sense. So to completely fucking derail a Destiny conversation.
Yeah, it lost there.
Well, no, you know what? Well, we will talk about Destiny because Destiny's a first-person shooter, and you know what the fuck got brought up for the 18th time. And Emily, you've been pretty pseudo-charged on it. I wouldn't say you're like not like fucking proactively trying to fucking go after people about it, but you've definitely spoken your piece about it, which is another major reason why I want to have you on. Is, of course, the conversation that's come up 55 fucking times that we're beyond, for us two in particular, based on where we work and what the fuck we're dealing with, the conversation of violence in video games keeps coming up. It came up, like, for a hot minute, I'd say, about, like, 6 months ago, and then now it's brought up to the forefront again for literally, like, the 18th time. I don't even think I'm exaggerating with that. It's probably literally been brought up every time. So, obviously, I feel like we're going to be in agreement, but thoughts, opinions, where are you at, what the fuck you think they're bringing up, what the hell's going on with it, anything?
Well, I mean, I don't know if we've ever had this conversation before. I have this conversation with multiple parents that are always questioning me about mature ratings, violence, video games, the whole 9 yards. And, I mean, the violence in video games, it boils down to, I mean, there's going to be a whole, like, web, so just follow me here. So, in America, we will more likely thrive through movies, music, video games, anything. Any media outlet, it's all violent.
Yes.
But anything that's sexualized, nudity, anything like that, it's like, oh no, we can't do that.
Yeah.
And over in Europe, it's a completely different ballgame. It's the complete opposite, actually.
Well, that's even why, too, like, just even on a flip script real quick, like, that's why cinematography, just even as a whole, is looked at a lot differently, too. Because people always talk about video games, but it's so rare that people talk about movies when you see how many violent movies there are. And especially, too, like, you want to talk about, like, sexuality in movies. Like, there's way more. I mean, if you just compare the number of video games, like just even this year, you compare the number of video games based on sexual content, you compare the movies based on sexual content, it's fucking not even close. Movies will outweigh video games fucking 10-1 every time.
So how this kind of stems to where I'm going in regards to violence is I get questions all the time. Oh, well, why is this game mature rated? Go down the list. Blood, gore, violence, strong language, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll be like, what is it? Suggested themes.
Suggestive themes is the pseudo one. Or
they're
whatever.
like, oh wait, there's nudity in here? I'm like, you blow off a guy's head.
Yeah, but the potential of seeing like
there's
partial nudity.
Boob.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah, that's the one.
And they're like, oh, my son can't play this, or my daughter can't play this, and I'm just look at them like, what?
Yeah.
So it's not really that the video games are the cause of the violence. It's more of the parents not focusing on the proper things in regards to their children.
I totally agree with that.
I give this reference all the time is I ran the Grand Theft Auto 5 midnight launch event back for PS3 and 360 back in the day. I did this with my OG manager and everything. Great time. Mm-hmm. We had a family of 2 kids that were 7 years old coming to pick up the game.
Yep.
I don't care. I'm not here to judge any parent ever.
Yeah.
But I'm like, Grand Theft Auto, even for me, and at the time I was, 18, 19? I think I was probably 19.
It's graphic. It's a graphic game. In just playing the story.
Yeah.
Like, people always joke about, I'll just drive around and steal cars, but, like, you just play the story, and it's pretty up there.
Even driving around is, you literally will be sitting in traffic, and you're like, dude, I could totally squeeze in between these 2 cars and just skirt around them.
That's true.
And you think this to yourself, and I'm 19 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's more of the thought process of, like, parents need to do a better job.
I feel you. I mean, that's a decisive opinion, but I do agree with it. I think it comes down to... It's kind of this thing of, and I don't understand why it happens, of like video games as a whole. I know this is kind of blowing it up, and I swear I'm gonna like scope it in a minute, but like video games kind of get this whole bad rap of like, you see a lot of people walk into video game stores and you see a lot of people like, if they're in a conversation where video games are being talked about, and then they kind of just overlook it of like, oh, whatever, it's this thing. And the problem is when you overlook an art form, let's just even call it that. Video game is definitely an art form, absolutely. So when you look at an art form that's as vast as that, and especially like if you're going to look over your kids and how they would interpret said art form, it can be so devastating, and it could really influence their life in a bunch of different ways. And the whole thing is like they have to be on point, or at least alert of like what the fuck is happening. Like that's literally why the ESRB fucking exists, of like bringing up these fucking precautions for people so they fucking know, because there's a lot of people that just like, I mean, you deal with it all the time, just like I do, of like you have people that walk in and go like, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking for, like I don't even know what the fuck this thing is, but I know the title, and so like here I go, and it's like, do you know what this thing is? Like do you understand like what? Because I swear to God, you know what's so funny? I always compare it mentally this way. Of like, you have the parents that come in and buy like Grand Theft Auto 5. And I'm like, just to give you like a clarification of like what you think you're buying your kid. Imagine if you were buying your kid a book and the book was called the Kama Sutra. That's what the fuck you think you're like introducing to your kid. But yeah, Kama Sutra just sounds weird, but you have like no fucking concept of like what's inside the book. And then you fucking just show your kids like every fucking sexual exploit of all time. And then you get offended and then shocked when your kid fucking reacts to it in some weird way, you know. But I also think there's there's a counterpoint to it too, though, of like, because we are talking about a lot about like interpretation, but at the same time, like, and even you brought up of like, like grinding in between two cars though when you're in a video game.
Yeah.
But whenever, being a fucking 20-something adult now, have you ever been in your car and been like, oh, I'll scrape up my car?
Yeah.
Driving in between two cars? Yeah, never.
I wish I could, but absolutely. I logically know, like, this is not viable option.
Based on my finances and fucking up other people's lives and doing all this shit, that'd be like a fucking no-go. So, like, that's always been my thing, too, of, like, I think people just don't understand, like, yes, you can see violence and then understand it as an art form and not find it as a means to copy.
Yes.
And I think video games is a little bit tougher, but like, I don't know, you'll see like movies like the fucking Matrix and shit. When that first came out, you saw fucking, myself included, you saw every fucking 90s kid running around doing slow-mo, fucking doing the fucking bullet dodges and shit. And you're doing that, and like, the thing is, yes, like, it's fun to imitate, but then you also understand the concept of, like, even as a kid, I understood, like, okay, like, bullet dodging is cool, and, like, shooting, like, fake guns is fun, but I would never actually fucking shoot someone. Like, why the fuck? Like, Jesus Christ. Also, even as a kid when I was watching, I understood the concept of that it was a movie. It wasn't real life. Like, it wasn't real people. But I could still understand it. Yet again, I can interpret it as an art form and then fucking run with that. I feel like that's the concept that people still fail to recognize with video games in particular, is they keep thinking it's this thing, and of course it's impressionable, like people play it and people get into it, but I think people fail to realize that it's not a thing that people actually want to interpret in their lives. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. And so one thing I'm kind of interested in, because we haven't talked about this, is the whole big thing right now with Walmart taking out all the promotional things, their kiosk and stuff like that.
I have heard about this pseudo thing.
So I find it very interesting. I'm going to say how I feel, and then I want to know what you think. So my first thought was, cool, take it all out of there, because Walmart never knows what they're talking about. Like, it's known. Like, I work in the industry, like, come talk to me. I will tell you everything you need to know.
Yes.
But also I look at it as, like, our TVs and stuff like that, like, all the visual stuff we do have some pretty graphic stuff that plays for small children.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, we used to only play very, like, anything that was, like, very mature was not even in our stores, because they were very family friendly.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a weird spot to be in, and I like the fact that we're now going towards that, but I never even thought about the impact on kids that are in the stores and seeing these things and stuff like that.
Yes. So another major thing about, like, the whole advertisement, especially how the way it affects kids, the last one that I saw that I was actually genuinely shocked at, and I don't know if we've directly talked about this, but one that blew my mind was when Mortal Kombat 11 came out. We were playing that on fucking GameStop TV, and that's M-rated content that we're playing on fucking just on the TV, like on the fucking regular B-roll, and that fucking throws me off every time, because, like, even we have policies in place of, like, make sure that you're not directly showing, like, M-rated content. Like, you talked about Midnights, like, at Mortal Kombat Midnights, try to have Injustice playing, or try to have, like, a rated T game, like, you know what I mean, like, try to avoid that stuff. But it's so funny because, like, we have, like, fucking M-rated content showing, like, even this is a really weird, like, subject, but bear with me, of, like, it's just even weird how certain like, margins are kind of getting whittled down, like, even the censorship, like, even shit is allowed to be said. We haven't had it at GameStop, but, like, even on the radio and shit, like, you're allowed to hear, like, shit and ass and stuff like that, which, like, yet again, personally, I'm a fucking kid from New Jersey. I fucking heard that shit when I was 5. Like, I mean, like, that's not anything new to me, but, like, when I do hear that shit for some kids who haven't been used to it, I'm like, okay, we're taking some steps, out there, which is fine. Let's test the boundaries on it. That's cool. But at the same time, like, there might be some kids being affected by it. But it's definitely interesting. Like, for the point you bring up, like, that's always been my process with it. Like, when I'll see Mortal Kombat on the TV and shit, I'm like, okay, it's cool. But, like, at the same time, like, what the fuck are they doing? Because, like, kids are going to see that.
Like,
you know what
Doom?
I mean? Yeah.
Doom?
Yes.
Rage 2?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of fucking M-rated stuff. Even Borderlands, even jokingly, and Borderlands obviously has a way more cartoony, like, fun approach, but at the same time, what's the biggest thing they're promoting? millions of guns.
Dancing to music. And being happy.
Mm-hmm. But same thing. It's so funny. It's so funny because, like, it is embedded in our culture. Mm-hmm. But I will say at the same time, it doesn't, at least in my opinion, like, it doesn't make it more acceptable for violence, at least mm-hmm. like in an actual like scenario. Yeah, that's always been my thing about it. And don't get me wrong, I mean, like, I was a fucking scrappy kid in fucking high school and middle school. I've gotten into fights before and stuff, but I also understood like the ramifications of what those fucking things meant and the mm-hmm. altercations of what that would mean and the consequences of said actions and stuff. I think that's like another big thing that goes into part that people don't like think about.
Yeah. I mean, one of the first games that I really got into was one BioShock, but also Gears of War. Mm-hmm. Like, and Gears of War it's on, I feel, that level of Doom or Rage. It's just meaty, brawly, and you're gonna chainsaw some locusts.
Well, I was gonna say, like, it's if anything, it's more visceral because they literally were like, by the way, like, here's all these guns, and then we now just have a chainsaw that goes through the visceral action of fucking chainsawing somebody.
Exactly. And so I started playing these probably like middle school, high school, stuff mm-hmm. like that. And I mean, but never have I ever and I guess this is where I don't understand how video games cause violence. Mm-hmm. Never playing any of these games did I ever think, oh, I could do this in real life.
Yeah, 100%.
I have how many like prop replicas? I mean, I have 2 Gears of War Lancers. Exactly. And I'm going to pre-order another one. Mm-hmm. But like, my thing is like, video games don't cause violence. They don't.
Well, and even more so to the point of like, the whole thing is you would rather spend your money on a fake gun replica of a chainsaw like Lancer than invest money in like an actual like double barrel shotgun.
I've never actually shot a real gun.
That's what I'm saying. See, exactly. And between the two of us, we've played more shooters than most people. Uh-huh. And yeah, same thing. I've like. Actually, that's not technically. I've technically fired a gun before, but I've never. I mean, first of all, I've never owned a gun, nor have I ever thought about actually like purchasing a gun. Yeah,
I've held one because of sheer like, okay, I'm moving this here and putting it down and never touching it again. Yep. But like, I never wanted to, never cared to. But
and also just to even back it up more so, like, and that's not to discredit people that want to own a gun. Oh, like owning guns is a whole different faction. And I think people should have the full right. And this is just my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I think people should have the full right to at least be able to own guns. I just think to the extent of gun ownership and what the fuck you're carrying is like a whole different matter. Yeah. But
that's a whole nother argument.
That's a whole different fucking episode. But on top of that, just even like, it's just even like you said of like, for me, even personally, who's played a lot of violent video games and stuff, like, I would rather own a replica of something mm-hmm. than an actual fucking, like, loaded gun of something, especially because I know the consequence of it. Yeah. Like, I just think that's a really big deal.
Yeah, and I have excessive amounts of them.
The other thing, too, like, just even on a funnier, like, side tangent, is, like, something video games has also made initially made worse, but helped me put into light a lot better, that I think translates well, at least into this conversation, is, like, anger. Mm-hmm. Like, my always thing is I really, like, at least, like, way back in the day, I would definitely say I had, like, an anger issue. I never got, like, an actual therapy session over it or some shit, but I would definitely consider myself, like, overtly angry, at least at the time. But video games, ironically enough, I mean, in the beginning, they made it way worse, because I was fucking rage quitting, fucking losing my mind, fucking throwing controllers across the room. But then at the same time, it kind of got me to look at myself and then be like, oh, this is what the fuck I'm doing. Like, even, at an age where I shouldn't be fucking having a temper tantrum, and I'm having a fucking temper tantrum over a fucking video game. And, like, listen, we all still will fall for that shit. Yeah. I'm not discrediting, or I'm not trying to, like, talk shit on people that still do it. But I'm just saying it really did kind of help me ironically enough, it put my, what some people would consider violent tendencies, it helped me put them in check, if anything. It got me to self-recognize without anyone going like, oh my god, what the fuck are you doing? It got me to realize, like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I have to calm the fuck down and start handling situations more appropriately. And ironically enough, that helped me more in life. Like, I guarantee you can agree, you're probably, like, even talk more about this, of, like, video games, if anything, have only improved my life.
I mean, yes. I mean, before I moved to Lancaster, I didn't know who really I was. I didn't really know what I was really into. And then, like, I always played games very casually when I was younger. I didn't have systems really growing up.
How old were you at the time?
When I moved to Lancaster?
Yeah.
18.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had started working at GameStop later during that holiday and everything like that, and it kind of honed into like me really being into it and stuff like that, and it has kind of developed me now X amount of years later into who I am. But I mean, it even goes to say now, as I don't really have, I mean, I do have anger issues, but like... Of
course. Welcome to all of us. Yeah. We all rage quit and shit. Like, listen, that's still happening. Like, I mean, by the way, I've managed my anger better. That's not to mention I still have fun. There's this whole, I mean, I don't even know if you saw, by the way, the recliner that I'm sitting in right now, there's a whole fucking story with it. There's a whole tangent. But more of the story, it doesn't have a footrest because I put my fist through the footrest board. This is months ago.
Really?
Yeah, this is months ago.
I don't picture you like this type of person.
Oh, are you kidding? I have. I'll show you it after we're done recording.
Yes.
I still have the board because I eventually want to screw it and fix it. It was right when Sekiro came out.
Oh, never mind. That's all you need to say.
Sekiro came out, and what I did was I was sitting Indian style on the recliner. The recliner was all the way leaned back, and I had the footrest all the way up, and I just lost to a boss. Like, just that one extra time too many. Like, you know, in your brain where you go, I give up, and then for some reason you're still playing because you hate yourself.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, okay, here's the one moment, and then you're just like, I just looked at my footrest. I was sitting Indian style. I was just like, all right. And I just fucking just wailed. I just fucking no karate, nothing in my life. And I just fucking put my entire fist through the fucking thing. And I went, oh my God, like, no. But yet again, that's where it takes you. I mean, listen, we all have moments. Yeah, not
but anyway, where I was going to stem from a different perspective is, again, nothing diagnosed or anything, but you've known me long enough. I suffer from extreme anxiety and depression, like crazy amounts.
Yes.
And as shitty as the community in regards to video games are, I mean, you hear it on a daily basis. 12-year-olds told me to go mom or blah, blah, blah. Like, all that dumb stuff. But at the same time, the video game community is probably the most interesting community in regards to, I think, anything out there.
Totally.
Because there's so many different levels.
I think I was even gonna jump on that and say, if anything, it's definitely the most diverse.
Exactly.
Like it's very frustrating because you see it get locked in as kind of black or white. It's either it's this dope gamers that try to get everybody in, or it's the people that go fucking the squeakers. They're just like fucking fuck your mom and blah blah blah. Yeah, exactly. We like Fortnite. We like Fortnite. Like all that bullshit. But yeah, no, it is very vast, and there's so many fucking facets to it. I mean, that's, in my opinion, that's why I think Discord literally, a majority of why Discord exists, of just a bunch of chats of people trying to have genuine conversations about games or subjects of games that they're actually genuinely interested in. But anyway.
But that even said, is I've gone through, I mean, depending on the game I'm playing, I've gone through different groups of, like, people I've met. Like,
oh, totally.
I mean, I had my Overwatch crew, which, like, I still think about. I haven't talked to them in months, but I still think about them on a daily.
Absolutely.
Like, and we'll still randomly hit each other up and be like, yo, you still alive? You good? You like...
Those people become, like, your best friends. And absolutely.
My Destiny crew right now, and I mean, I've talked to you about my guys and stuff like that. I mean, it's an everyday, like... They probably know more about my life than, like, my friends
totally.
I see.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
It's just, those are the things that actually help me, like, knowing,
100%.
like, and it's a different kind, I mean, I'm sure, like, not in the military, like, that's how, like, military, like, this is your team, like, this is where you're going, like, you're planning, you're coursing your action, and everything.
You feel a camaraderie, and there's a sense of, like, hominess.
Exactly.
Almost.
So, yeah, I mean, to stem back to the violence part of it, I mean, there's so many positives to video games that the violence is really, I mean, the violence is based off of real life occurrences, let's be honest.
It's true. It's very, I mean, that's the thing. That's another thing that I think people fail to really bring up when they talk about, video games are overtly violent. It's like, really? Just watch the news for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just watch the news for 20 minutes. They will talk about someone getting shot and murdered and fucking everything else. Because they know, because even news stations, like even public television know that those are the things that capture people's attention. Like, can they talk about, like, a fucking turtle crossed the street and everyone was really happy? Great, but they're going to talk for 25 more minutes about how someone got unlawfully shot because fucking killings are more interesting, and they fucking know that. And that's what's that's the fucked up part about the whole thing, is like, you know, it's different when it's used as, you know, when we have video games, we take that as like an art form, and that's a form of like interpretation. But when we're watching news or when we're talking about real life events, like, This isn't shit that's trying to be over glorified or under glorified. This is this fucking happened.
Yeah.
Like, these are fucking real. Like, this
People's
is real
lives.
life. And even to touch on something that you brought up a little bit before when you were talking about anger issues, but talking to people, like, one of the first things that got me to help me out with my anger was a lot of my, you want to talk about old school. Back on my PS2 online accounts.
Oh, snap.
Back when fucking the PS2 established internet wasn't even, like, a fully stable thing, and you had to make a username per game you were playing. You didn't even have a PS2 account.
Yeah.
You had your PS2 specific accounts that you made per game. That was the first time, like, a buddy of mine who I got, like, super rage quitty on, and my buddy who I had never met in person, he was like a dude who lived in, like, Wisconsin, and we were literally inseparable best friends, at least when it came to an online experience, for like a year and a half, and I will never forget. It literally impacted my life forever. But he was the first person, like, put me in check and be like, dude, like, shut the fuck up, you idiot. Like, stop fucking yelling over a fucking video game. Like, relax. We'll take care of it. We'll fucking beat him next time. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, we will do that. And, like, you know, and, like, listen, of course, like, were my parents obviously involved in trying to help me out with that? Absolutely. But I was also, at the time, keep in mind this is PS2, I was also a fucking 13-year-old kid who, like, fuck my parents. I don't give a fuck. They're fucking stupid. I know the fucking world. So all it took was another fucking anywhere from, like, a 13 to 15-year-old kid to just be like, shut the fuck up, you idiot. Like, get your fucking shit together. And then that's when it clicked for me of, like, oh, I should really fucking start managing this. So I totally resonate with you on that. And that's carried, obviously, like, throughout my gaming. Jesus Christ, I'm, like, gonna be 27 now. So, yeah, it's been, like, fucking more than a decade of that. But, totally getting, like, an online experience. And that's the thing, like, when they talk about, I mean, this is kind of probably fucked up to say, this might be polarizing, but I'm just being honest, like, when they talk about, like, people doing these violent acts and stuff, I mean, like, one of the things I think of, only when they try to pin it on video games, one of the first things I think of, like, dude, this guy clearly didn't play video games, because if he was playing video games, he'd probably have a community of people that would have put him in check in the scenario, like, 15 steps before anywhere of, like, any of the results, you know, that happened because of this violent stuff.
So I'll give you the scenario. This actually happened recently to me, and this goes to, like, going back to the community part. I play with the guys, like, all the time and everything like that. They're probably, like I said, my closest friends. I had a moment. So we also are really fucked up.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
We all do the same tricks to, like, random people that, like, we're like, okay, these people are fucking pissing us off. Let's go offline mode, blah, 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 sneaky.
Yeah.
Like, trying to do all of that and everything like that. So, like, all of us kind of know, like, what each other do, and we can tell.
Yeah.
So I had an instance where the guys that I normally play with actually went and did that. And, like, because I know this, I instantly knew what was going on. And, I mean, it bothered me. It bothered me so bad, like, because one of my triggers for anxiety is feeling left out. And, obviously, I put myself in position so I'm never in this position. But, like, I had, like, a really bad panic attack. And the one guy I play with knows how bad my anxiety is. Like, we've had really depth conversations and stuff. So after they come back online and everything, and I join a party with them, and mind you, there was 4 of us, and then there were 3 of us when they came back. And they're talking about this thing that they did. And I can infer from the conversation, like, okay, what I thought they just did, which is something we were all trying to do, happened. And it hurt me. I actually took my headset off and I went into my bathroom and I started texting my buddy, like the one really close one. And I knew there was a logical standpoint to it. I know exactly why it happened. Logically. But it didn't matter because I was so hurt.
Of course, absolutely.
So that person then talked me down, calmed me down, like, obviously logically also explained it to me and was like, it wasn't anything about you. It was just this opportunity arose. We didn't want to deal with the other person, so we're doing this. And I'm like, okay, like, I understand this completely, but it didn't matter because it still hurt.
Of course.
But it also, at the end of the day, after I calmed down and rationalized everything, because this person that I only know because of video games talked me out of it. And I can tell you a lot of my close friends in real life can't do that.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
well, especially too, like, if it's driven in a situation like that. But I also think, you know what's really funny though too, like I think that also comes down to like relationships and just even like, and not on an actual like dating level, but just relationships of like friends and stuff, of like how it's so funny because like in just even in like our 20s and shit, it's so I like, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I notice this so much more predominantly of like you meet people that just either, especially when you hit this age, because like I think we're finally starting to hit the age where you're either like your brain is becoming fully developed. Like we're getting to the age where pretty much our brain is going to be pretty much set in where we are. You know what I mean? Of like we're either going to run with this or we're not, or whatever the fuck's going on. And it's so funny because you'll talk to some people and just some people just do not fucking like just even shooting the shit. Like some people just don't fucking get it. Like some people are just on fucking Venus going like, yeah, and then I fucking planted a pot today and that was fucking great and I did, and it's just like I don't give a fuck. Like I asked how the fuck you're doing as a human. I don't give a fuck about these menial tasks you're fucking doing. But some people still have the concept of like putting up with the Joneses. I'm like, oh, I did this and then I bought a new car, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. Like, I don't care about that shit. Like, how are you doing as a human being? Like, where the fuck are your thoughts and feelings? Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, that's the shit that I care about. And I always try to at least like convey that to a point. At least when, I mean, you know me well enough. I try to convey that enough to a point where like that's the shit that I care about at least. Like that's the stuff that I want to know about on a fucking human level. Like, cool if we're talking about, you know, fucking inanimate objects and stuff. Dope. I'll talk as much as anybody about that shit. But at the same time, like I want to talk about fucking thoughts, feelings, and all that stuff.
Let's just go back to the beginning. I'm alive.
Exactly.
I think I say it more to you than anyone else, though, at this point, because I know how much it triggers you.
Well, but see, it's also the coin flip, though, of, like, and, oh, hold on, feel free to put me in check with this, though, too. I feel like I ask you intentionally more than most.
Probably.
Yeah, see, because I was about to say, I actually genuinely give a fuck. So, like, I genuinely try to ask you because I know you. That's exactly why, like, I really try to get that type of stuff. But listen, and just to even branch off, you talking about anxiety and stuff, like, that's the thing, too. Like, I'm so much more, even in, you know, I mean, like, I know this usually, when you preface it with this sentence, it sounds like such a bullshit statement. I know you're already laughing at it. It sounds like such a bullshit statement, but it's so true. Like, in 2019, the conversations you have with people, you have to be so much more aware, because there is a lot of, there's a lot of mental stuff going on. Like, there's a lot of social anxieties and stuff that, you know, like, fucking 10 years ago people would just make bullshit jokes about, but it's fucking real. Like, it fucking affects people, and it affects people, and like, some people don't think of it this way because they think like, oh, social interaction, like, blah. But it's like, no, like, even when you're talking with someone one-on-one, that could give someone the most severe anxiety, even if in your brain, though, if number one, if you're not aware of it, or you're also not even like trying to be actually properly inclined with the other person you're talking about. Like, that whole thing, like, if you're ignorant to the, like, to that whole concept, you could be putting someone in the worst fucking anxiety and not even realize it.
So it's gonna be interesting. So you make a point of you have to be careful what you say, because you might not realize that saying this one thing might trigger someone or something like that.
Yes.
So within the last year, I had an incident that happened to me that is very talked about in modern culture, very prominent on social media and everything like that. And not a lot of people know about it, and I don't really tell a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's honestly, it's my business, it's no one else's.
Absolutely.
But also,
first and foremost.
Yeah. So let's put it in perspective. So I have this thing that happened to me that I see on a daily basis. Do I have anxiety about it? Yeah. Do I get triggered by it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
But also, I look at it as the fact these people don't know. They don't understand. So if a friend makes a comment, or I see a post about it, or anything like that, I look at it as, like, I physically can't get upset by this. Like, I can,
internally. I was going to say, you're, first of all, fully entitled to get
But I also can't get upset at that person, because that person has no idea.
Yes. That must be difficult.
I mean, it is, but it also gives me a perspective of, I'm very blunt. I don't give a shit what I say.
Which is why we get along.
I don't care, like, at a point, like, I don't care who I offend, because if I offend you, I'm naive to the fact that I don't know this.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same thing as people don't know this about me.
So but also on a concept, like, even to jump in, like, with what you just said, the fact that you already like have experienced something major and then have gone through that. At the same time, like I know you kind of say that off the cuff of like, oh, if I offend you, whatever. But at the same time, I do feel like you are socially inept.
I will backtrack if someone says like, oh well, this, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I meant it as a joke.
Exactly. And but what I'm saying, I'm even leaning into that more so of like, I think you're very. I think you are a very socially aware person.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen you in the, thousands of times we've hung out. I don't think I've ever seen you drop something that was even like borderline offensive in front of someone that could have. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. If we're talking off the cuff, who the fuck cares? But if jokes are fucking flying, that's a totally different.
Yeah, you gotta get over. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Get
some fucking thick skin. Yeah, jokes are fucking happening. But yeah, no, like exactly. Like that has to be very difficult. I really can say like I haven't been through anything in that type of minefield. I mean, like my biggest thing that I've talked about a couple times on the podcast and stuff, but the biggest thing that I've always gone through is like, losing my dad to cancer and everything like that. And like when you hear some people talk about like just fucking anything, like even I squabble with my parents or their fucking bullshit or all this stuff. Like my always thing in the back of my mind, I just always try to chime in with the advice of exactly like first of all, they've never been through that situation. They have no idea what the fuck's going on. Like even like one, I won't like name drop people, but like one of my particular friends who's like one of my best friends, both parents together, very happily married, very much has never had like a first of all, never really had like a very big experience with death, let alone on the like close family circuit of death. You know what I mean? So so even first of all, when that happened to me, and then also when I've talked about it to that friend, they try to do all the check boxes of like the friend thing of trying to rationalize and talk about stuff, but then at the same time like they don't even they've never even been through it, so they don't even know what the fuck to say. Like they don't even know what the like I've talked about that with some people, and some people are just completely utterly speechless because they have no even fathomable, and sometimes though that's also okay. That's not something like I don't need them to say something. I don't look for like a particular answer or something. My whole thing is just try to be as open as possible, and then just try to learn from shit, because that's my thing. If I can get my whole, I mean, like, God, in a fucking perfect world, my dream would be if anybody can literally take one thing out of the fucking terrible experiences that I've just had in my life and be able to at least go one step ahead of where they were with whatever the fuck they're going through. God, that would be the fucking dream. You know what I mean? Like, that's always been my MO. That's why, at least for me, that's why I always try to be an open book about that stuff. But at the same time, I've never been in a situation that has been, how do I want to word this? I've never been in a situation that's been as, or that has ever been, let me generalize it, that has ever been personally compromising. Yeah. So at the same time, I've never even hit that kind of beat of something where I've been like iffy on even if I want to bring it up or something. At least on that scale. Like the craziest thing that fucking happened to me this year was, my mom's whole cancer diagnosis and then going through that whole shit. And that was a whole thing. And then same thing, like, I mean, Jesus Christ, even, I'm fucking recording a podcast and doing all that stuff. And like, obviously I talked about that, but even with a lot of friends that I've known forever, it was a thing of I intentionally waited a couple weeks out to bring up, because same thing. I know some people can handle it. Some people, when you even just say the word, like, and of course we can deviate from this, by the way, but just to go on this like really quick, but just like for some people, like when you just bring up the word cancer, some people have no even idea, like, first of all, what that means, what the fuck that does, what the fuck's happening, what the fuck even like timeline that means. And some people know it better than anybody. Like, some people know it like the back of their hand, some people have experienced it. So that's the thing of like when you tell some people, it's a lot easier, because then they go, oh, you're doing your journey, take your shit, do your thing, dope. And then when you tell some people, it fucking blows their mind. So like some people you have to even explain. And maybe you feel that way. Like sometimes when you've had to talk about like a very hard experience or something that you've gone through, like you have to then even try to explain it to the person of what the fuck that even meant. And sometimes that's difficult. Like sometimes you have to even pre-preface that on top of their own story, which is tough.
So one thing I would say is, because I also have dealt with cancer in my family with multiple relatives. I lost my grandmother when I was way too young to it. And then, not to cancer, but I lost my uncle earlier this year. So, like, death and all that, like, I hate to say it, but, like, on a different level, I know what it's like.
Totally.
And
and also too, for everybody, it's different.
Oh yeah, extremely.
I mean, that's always the thing that I say to everybody of like, you could have, like, for both of us, you could have both of our moms die of the same cancer on the same day, have the same diagnosis, and go through the exact same procedure. The relationships we have with them, the fucking conversations we have, the fucking thing of what that deals with on our lives are completely fucking different. It's about the resonating qualities. It doesn't have to be the same script for it to still resonate.
The one advice I would give to anyone that, like you were talking about, your one friend and everything, someone that has never been in this position in retrospect, don't follow the checklist.
Yes.
Fuck the checklist. You say, I will be here when you need me. I'm sorry for your loss. And you leave it there. Yeah. We don't want, like even that letter I lost my uncle earlier this year, I just still didn't tell a lot of people because I don't want the sympathy card.
Yes, exactly.
Like, and I hate, like, dealing with something like that. The sympathy card is, like, people think it might make you feel better, but it doesn't.
Makes you feel worse.
It's so much worse.
Because the whole thing is, and for me, it's like, and maybe this is just more me personally, I don't want to try to generalize this aspect of it, but the thing that infuriates me the most whenever you get, like, the sympathy thing is, like, first of all, you're going through mentally, like, the toughest thing of your life. And yes, like, all you're doing while you're going through it is mentally you're praying for a fucking break. Yeah. But you don't want a break in that sense. Like, you don't want people to look at you differently on it. You want to go through life the same way. And if anything, you want a break is in whatever the fuck you're going through to get easier. You don't want your friends to then treat you, your friends or family, yeah, exactly. You don't want your friends or family to treat you differently because of it, because then, almost in a weirder sense, it almost fucks it up more. Because then when they give you the sympathy card, then you can't even talk to them like a person sometimes, you know? Yeah. And, like, at the same time, like, it's also, to flip it on the other script, it's not like you should also hear that story and then be a fucking asshole. you shouldn't be like, oh, fucking uncle, tough titties, bitch, and then fucking move on. No, you should exactly, like, it's almost to the way you said it. There should almost be just a new checklist. It should just be the fact that you should acknowledge someone's feelings and then understand that everyone needs their own space and time. Yeah. And then just always let them know that a door is open whenever they're wanting and or even available. Because that's the other thing people fuck up a lot, and that fucks, like, not a lot of people talk about that. And that's one thing that actually infuriates me. Is a lot of people always talk about, like, oh, like, well, my door's always open and stuff, but some people, like, don't even understand, and then they'll get pissed about it. They'll be like, oh, well, like, why didn't you call me? Like, oh my god, you are going this thing. And some people don't even realize sometimes when you're going through the shit, you don't have the time. It's not that you don't want to talk to someone. Absolutely, in a perfect world, if you had fucking time to sit on your ass and talk to 30 people about it to feel better, you would. But sometimes you don't. Like, sometimes you don't even have a minute to think, to get your own shit together, to then talk to somebody else about it. And some people that have never gone through shit, they don't think about that. But then
also, you need to make a point of, if that person does reach out and, like, hey, do you want to get lunch one day? It doesn't matter what you're doing. Yeah. You need to make time for that person. Yes. Because they are then going through shit, and probably the hardest thing that they were supposed to do that day 100%. Was to ask for help.
To reach out, absolutely. Like, that's even to back up what you said before. Like, when you're even thinking, like, when you were even first talking about the checklist thing, when you're even thinking of bringing up to someone to reach out a hand, you should really understand what that actually means to another person. Even if you're saying it lightheartedly, like, even if you're like, oh, I'll lightheartedly support you, you have to understand that that is a loaded gun thing that you're saying, and eventually they might pull the trigger on it, and you better fucking deliver with at least, like, some type of social acknowledgement and support.
Or if you can't make it, you better have a good reason and give them the specifics.
Exactly. Like, you better fucking, first of all, reach out, and then on top of it, then specify, and then make a note to then, like, somehow, you know, make it up to said person about it. No, I totally agree with that. And that's rough. Like, that's a really big concept of, like, you know, people dealing with stuff, or even grief, or, like, it just even anything that people are going through. Yeah, people don't talk about that stuff. And it's that type of it's that type of social commentary that people don't fuck with a lot, and it's fucked up because people should talk about it more.
Oh yeah,
it's
a super hard but super easy conversation to have.
It is. You know what's so funny, and I'm so actually glad you said that. It is so easy for anyone who's been through shit.
Yeah.
So anyone that's been through shit and hears someone talk about anything, it doesn't even have to. Yet again, we even talked about like it. Even if it's the same story, it's still different, and the people that have been through shit acknowledge it. It was even. It's so funny because I think we've been talking for like an hour, but I'm pretty sure I brought this up. I'm pretty sure I brought this up before we started recording, if I'm not mistaken. If I brought this up while we were recording, I apologize. But it's so funny because I feel like when you know, and it's not just our age, because this could hit anybody, but when you talk to some people about real shit, about either shit you're going through or shit you've been through or fucking any type of thing in between, it's so funny because you can mentally just take a survey of like, if you're talking to 5 people in a room, you can 100% tell the people that understand it and acknowledge it on a level that they've been through some shit, or somebody who has not been through it and doesn't even understand the wheelhouse that you just brought to the table. And it's so fucking funny because you can almost read it on people's faces within the first like 5 minutes of talking about it. There's some people who just go like, no, like, or just even like how you said, like, you've dealt with like grief in the family and stuff, and like, you know, like, if someone's dealt with that, yes, in a totally different aspect, but at the same time, absolutely, I can resonate with grief and loss and how the fuck you're processing that and how different it is and how crazy that can be, and how even, you know, you can say it's been 6 months, but that could still be like day 1 fresh and hit you like a brick whenever the fuck, like, it's some people that get that, and some people just go, oh man, that must be hard. And like sometimes that makes you want to fucking strangle the other person because they can't even fathom exactly. They like, oh, that must be difficult. It's like, you don't even understand like a visual representation of the mental mile that you had to walk to understand even that much. Like, and it's
simple things.
Yes. Oh, it's the simple things that will trigger you half the time. That's always for me. It's never the real in-depth conversations that always set me off. It's always the offhanded mental comments. Yeah. Like when people just talk off the cuff, and then it's those where you have to like fucking you tilt your head and then you just fucking walk away and then you just fucking try to like block it out or some shit or something. I totally agree. I hate that shit all the fucking time. It's tough. It's so difficult because you want people to get it, but then almost too at the same time, like, and yet again, maybe this is just me, but I almost kind of look at it as like a blessed thing, because then you kind of almost go, this is me looking at it half full of like the glass of life of just like, man, that person is lucky as fuck to have never gone through that much shit at this age. Like, they've gone through that long of life and never have had to deal with a situation that heavy. That's awesome. But at the same time, like, fuck, that kid ain't helping me out. That kid ain't helping me out with my shit, but, like, I'm so glad that at least, like...
You're happy for them.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
At least I have, like... And that, you know what's even funnier? It's so funny that you say that, because, like, that's where I think our sympathy comes in. Yeah. But they can't even register it. But that's where, like, the real sympathy of, like, aw, you haven't had that. You haven't got hit with a brick yet. Like, you keep going. Like, you keep swimming the kiddie pool. You'll just keep swimming that pool as long as they let you.
3 feet. You got this.
As long as they fucking let you. At this point, you've just been growing. It's only at your knees. You just keep swimming.
Meanwhile, we're, like, treading water. Help!
We're, like, fucking 80 feet deep. Fucking whales are fucking flying by. We're like, help! Is that a shark fin? I don't know what the fuck's happening.
Is that a shark or a dolphin? I'm scared.
I saw a fin. I don't know what it was. I haven't seen it for a long enough time.
Don't stop me.
Oh, God. All right. Well, I mean, I think now is the perfect time to wrap it up. Thank you so fucking much for being on. I super appreciate it. As I say to most people, and I mean it, honest to God, every time, you're welcome on any fucking time. I will say this. I'm going to put you on the spot for 10 seconds. You have some projects that are pseudo starting up. Yep.
Damn.
Yep.
Shameless plug.
I know. You have some projects starting up. Would you like to talk about some of those projects, and more importantly, where they can find you on said projects?
Damn, the shameless plug part.
Yep.
So
your favorite part.
Low key, if you like really scuffed gaming, I will be slowly, hopefully, more posting and streaming on my YouTube account.
Good.
Which is this Emery Player 1.
Yep.
I have no no idea what the URL was, so
that's okay.
Well,
YouTube is always fucked up with that. The URL is always a banana boat fucking... Yeah, just search that in YouTube and you will find it.
Literally Emre Player 1 and anything, it's me.
How do you spell it? Because it's spelled fancy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's E-M...
You can do it! It's your own kind of name almost.
Awkward.
Your own pseudonym almost.
EMRAE player, like
Yep.
a player, and then 1. Just the number, not spelled out.
Bingo. There it is. Okay, I just want to clarify that, because that one's a little bit tricky when you hear Emre. They're like,
What is Emre?
Yeah, they get tricky, because sometimes you would think it's a Y if you hear it.
Yeah, it's just pretty much a bunch of scuffed gaming, though, but nothing really of substance.
Yeah. Got
19 subscribers.
Hey! Fucking humble brag. But, hey, listen, it's all about, I've been talking about this with people even, too, like, it's just that starting up shit is like it's the greatest but also the worst thing, because it fucking takes time, and then you have that laziness shit, because like both of us have like fucking full-time jobs on the side, and it's not like we have the fucking full-time to put this stuff in, but at the same time we're fucking passionate enough about it to want to put extra fucking effort. That shit counts. But yeah, so anyway, Emily, thank you so much again. Love you to death. And on that note, everybody, good evening, good night, and good luck. Bye, everybody.